Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to South Windsor. And before I begin, I want to thank the team at Mid-South Land Developments for hosting us at their site presently under construction. It's called Lilymac. We're on Lilymac Boulevard. And to be honest, we laughed with Anthony and Dino Maggio here today, the developers. We said we actually had to look to see where Lilymac Boulevard is, but it is well signed. It's in South Windsor. It's in a great place, and I want to thank Dino and Anthony and the entire leadership behind the corporation. They are really each responsible for helping to build our community up and to make it an attractive place to live, to work, and to play. And they're also known for their community spirit, for their activism, their local volunteerism, and we want to thank both of them for all that they do in the city of Windsor. We want to thank them for hosting us here today. Very pleased to be here. Now, this kind of infill greenfield development is exactly the kind of residential project that the City of Windsor needs more of in the years ahead. By locating here, Mid-South is able to take advantage of existing infrastructure, the roads and the sewers, and the brand new Cabana Road expansion that is just down the road and looks great. We are increasing density here, and we're excited about that because we know we need more homes. I'm really pleased to be here today with the MPPs for the area, Anthony Liardi, the MPP for Essex, Andrew Dowie, the MPP for Windsor-Tecumseh, and of course with our ministers, Kaleed Rasheed and Minister Steve Clark. I'd like to welcome Minister Rasheed to the podium now to talk about this interesting announcement. Minister?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us all today in beautiful Windsor, and thank you, Mayor Dilkens, for this kind introduction. I'm so thrilled to be joined here today by Minister Clark and our local champions, MPP Dowie and Lardy, who have really rolled up their sleeves and are getting it done for this community. And a very special thank you to Mid-South Land Developments for welcoming us to this site where so many new homes are being built. Ontarians of all walks of life are eager to find a place they can call home. And our government is working to make those dreams come true by getting more houses built. For many, this means buying a new construction home or condo, just like the ones behind us, where they can live, work, and raise their families. And in making one of the biggest purchases of their lives, hard-working Ontarians deserve to be treated fairly. But we have heard stories from new home buyers who have been ripped off by unethical developers, who try to cancel contracts only to sell the same unit for tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars more. Premier Ford has said it clearly. Simply put, this is unacceptable. This type of appalling behavior will not be tolerated on our government's watch. That is why we are doubling the maximum fines for unethical builders and vendors of new homes who unfairly cancel a project or terminate a purchase agreement. If passed, these changes would increase existing maximum financial penalties from $25,000 to $50,000 per infraction, with no limit to additional monetary benefit penalties. That means greedy developers could now be on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars when they unfairly cancel a new home project. And for the first time ever, money from these penalties will go back to the victims. We are enabling the Home Construction Regulatory Authority to use the money received from these penalties to make payments back directly to consumers affected by builders and vendors who break the law. This is an unprecedented step, with Ontario being the first jurisdiction in Canada to provide such compensation to consumers. And on top of all this, we are also empowering our courts to punish this bad behavior by doubling the maximum financial penalties for repeat offenders of the New Home Construction Licensing Act. If found guilty, individuals will now face charges of $100,000 and corporations of $500,000, with individuals also facing a sentence of up to 2 years in prison. With these proposed changes, we are putting unethical developers on notice. Any predatory builders will think twice before trying to rip off an Ontario homebuyer. Instead of profiting off bad behavior, they will face hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines that will go right back into the pockets of their victims. These measures will serve as harsh punishments and, above all, deter those who try to make extra money off the back of new homebuyer. Hardworking Ontarians can rest assured knowing Premier Ford and our government has their backs as they embark on their journey of home ownership. Thank you, and I'll now pass it on to Minister Clark. Minister.
Well, good morning, everyone. I just want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank Minister Rasheed for that tremendous announcement today. I want to acknowledge Mayor Dilkens and also our outstanding MPPs Dowie and Liardi. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning, and it's a pleasure to work alongside Minister Rasheed to help build Ontario. Our government believes that everyone in Ontario should be able to find a home that meets their needs and their budget. But too many Ontarians are struggling with the rising cost of living and finding housing far out of reach for them. Demand has far exceeded supply in Ontario. We need more housing, and we need it now. And this just isn't a big city problem. This is a problem that faces us in all corners of Ontario, both rural and urban, and it's something that the government takes very, very seriously. Over the past decades, housing supply just hasn't kept up. We are expecting in Ontario over 2 million more Ontarians in the years ahead. And Windsor is expected to be one of the fastest growing areas in our province. We welcome this growth. We welcome developments like the one that are behind us today. And we need, as a government, to take steps to ensure that all Ontarians, both newcomers and longtime residents, are properly supported. That's why we have been building more homes, and we continue to make it a priority. Our government has made a promise to Ontarians in the last election that we were going to put a plan in place to build 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years. It's a very aggressive plan. Last year was the best year Ontario's had in 30 years. We had over 100,000 starts. You can do the math. 100,000 starts in the next 10 years isn't going to give us that 1.5 million. So we need bold, transformative policies, but we also need to protect consumers. And Minister Rasheed's announcement today goes a long way to help in that consumer protection. So we want to thank him, and we want to thank all of you for being here, especially our host today. This is a tremendous development as Ontario's Minister of Housing. Had a great opportunity to tour every corner of the province, and my message to you is keep up the great work and let's build more for Ontario. So with that, I'll turn it over to ministry staff to host the question period.
Thank you, everyone. You can, Minister Rasheed, Mr. Clark, and Mayor Dilkens can now take questions from this mic. There'll be one question and one follow-up.
Hi, Maureen with Blackbird News. I guess just on the topic of consumer protections, obviously it's good for home builders here. Are there other measures coming for consumer protections in Ontario, say, you know, internet, cable, those types of things, or any other legislations on the way?
Thank you for the question. Yes, my ministry and we continue to find ways how we can provide support to Ontarians. And absolutely, we do this on a daily basis. Part of my ministry job is to find ways how we can protect consumers, and today's announcement is part of that. What we are doing today is we are doubling the penalty to show Ontarians, the home buyers, that we are there for them and we are standing shoulder to shoulder with them to make sure that these greedy developers can no longer hurt Ontarians.
So how will this be enforced?
Home Construction Regulatory Authority, HCRA, we are basically giving them a tool from our toolkit to make sure that they work with homeowners as well as these developers to make sure that these penalties are enforced depending on the situation. It's quite chilly this morning. Didn't realize that.
It really is. You need a jacket. Bob Belichico, CTV News. Just wondering how big is this problem? If we're going to double it, it must be a raging problem around the country.
Great question. Look, Premier Ford has been out there publicly stating, and we have heard in the news as well too, that how individuals, families have been taken advantage of this situation, and that's why today's announcement is a clear message to these greedy developers that enough is enough. No more under Premier Ford's watch. Our government and Minister Clark, who is doing such an incredible job of making sure that we are able to build 1.5 million homes, and this is one of the toolkit that we have, that we are now sending a very strong message to these developers that they can no longer cheat Ontarians, because every Ontarian deserves the best.
I haven't seen the release yet, but do you have numbers to back what's happening?
I mean, we see that every day. There are unfortunately situations where we see that individuals are being taken advantage of by these greedy developers, and we want to put a stop to this. And today's announcement is a very clear message to these greedy and unethical builders that enough is enough. They need to stop.
Hi, TJ Deere with CBC News. You obviously said that you're raising the fines for these developers, but some of them are some of these developers, they're foreign based and they make millions of dollars every year, so they may not be concerned about an increase in fines. They might just see it as a drop in the ocean, while they're still their profits are still deep in the black. How is this supposed to stop them if they're still so deep in the black, making millions of dollars of profit?
No, thank you for the question. Look, their license can be cancelled as well too. They won't be able to build homes in this province if found guilty, and that's what we are doing. But also now what we are doing, which has never happened before in our country, is that the fines, the penalties are going to go straight back into the pockets of the victims, the homeowners, the families who truly deserve to own a home. And that is one of the measures that we are doing, is that making sure that if found guilty, that their license will be revoked and they may no longer be able to operate here.
And now we put out a story a couple days ago about Windsor remodeling shipping containers to be used as housing for certain youth. Some have said that to solve this affordable housing crisis that we're experiencing, some have said that the building code, the Ontario Building Code, is outdated and it can be a barrier to this type of innovative type of housing. What's the government doing to fix this?
I'm going to pass on this question to the great Minister of Housing, Minister Clark. Right? Oh, there you go.
It's just a question period, so it's okay. So that was a great question. So actually, I was in Cambridge yesterday, touring the Now Housing factory that built those container homes. Great company and really innovative opportunity. Ontario's building code is one of the strongest in any Canadian jurisdiction. We're actively working with the federal government on harmonization of the building code. So it's an active conversation that we're having as well. We made a promise to Ontarians during the election that every year under the leadership of Premier Ford, we would have a housing supply action plan. So actively looking at building code issues on how to still retain the safe building code that we have in the province, but with a view of looking at innovation moving forward. So we're right there with other provinces and territories and the federal government in building code reviews.
Hi, Minister. Rob from AM 800. You were talking about how Windsor is going to be one of the fastest growing Is that why you felt it was important to hold this briefing here in Windsor today?
Well, this is the second time that I've been here with Mayor Dilkens, MPP Dowie, and MPP Liardi. This community is very important to the government. We've had some major announcements here over the past term, and Windsor Essex is a fast-growing area. We've got tremendous amount of jobs being created here, and we want to be able to support the community, support the mayor in making sure that they have the tools to get shovels in the ground faster and build their fair share of those 1.5 million homes. So it's a very important community, and the government, this announcement that Minister Rasheed made is a really unique announcement, because we're leading the country in this consumer protection measure for homeowners and renters. So it's something that's very important.
And then with today's announcement, just what would be the next steps moving forward to get the ball rolling here?
Yeah, so the announcement that Minister Rasheed made, we made as I said, we made a commitment to Ontarians that every year in a re-elected government under the leadership of Premier Ford, we'd have a housing supply action plan. So in 2019, I tabled our first housing supply action plan, More Homes, More Choice, followed it up with a bill earlier this year, More Homes for Everyone. So I'm actively working on legislative and regulatory changes that would be part of a new housing supply action plan. Minister Rasheed is one of the partner ministries that I'm working with on developing that package.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Please enjoy the nice weather.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us.